Hello and welcome to the Agri-Food Pioneers. We're here to give a voice to the companies in the agriculture and food industries making a real difference to the environment. And now, today, I'm joined by Oli Lee, Director of How Now Dairy, the first carbon negative dairy and milk delivery in the UK. Welcome, Oli, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Nigel.
No worries. Well, I couldn't not invite you on this really after your bold claim of being the first carbon negative dairy and milk delivery in the UK. I mean, that's huge because I work with a lot of dairy farms, and I know how hard they're fighting to reach just even being carbon neutral, let alone carbon negative. So can't wait to hear your story. How and why did you decide to start How Now Dairy?
I kind of came out of a set of circumstances. I sort of fell into it, really. I originally went to university and did the more academic route. I studied a little bit of chemistry at Manchester University, and I got partway through that degree, and I thought, you know what, sod this. I want to try farming. My granddad was the dairy farmer, but he passed away 15 years ago. So I was only really left of a memory of farming, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. Started working for my neighbour and never really looked back. So that's how I got into agriculture. And then
you started working for, who did you start working for? Sorry.
So I worked for my neighbour. I just worked. So we've always lived in the countryside. We moved back when my granddad passed away to live on the farm, look after my grandma as a family.
Right. Okay.
So then I worked. I started working for. We had a little bit left. We had 40 acres left, which kind of is where it comes from, because I got quite ill, and it makes you think what you really want to do. And I really wanted to farm my granddad's land, and we had 40 acres. And how do you make 40 acres, which is a tiny farm? The UK average farm is somewhere between 200 and 300 acres.
Yeah.
It's a minuscule farm. How do you make that financially viable? And I'd fallen in love with dairy farming, and I could see that disconnect between the consumer and the farmer. The farmer's producing these wonderful crops, these gorgeous cows, this lovely tasting raw milk which is in the tank, and you think, someone needs to be able to sell this direct to the consumer, because they want it. Particularly now, and COVID's kind of exaggerated this. They want food produced locally with really high quality that looks after the environment and everything else that we sort of created around it. So that's where it came from. And, it's been sort of five years of hard slog at times. And I think we're finally sort of breaking through and getting to the position where we can shout about it, hence our call today.
Excellent. So you've still got 40 acres. Have you expanded on?
So we've expanded, yes. We're now 100 acres.
100 acres, right. So You're renting land nearby,
Yeah.
Great.
So day one, we started with 8 cows. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. You were going to answer my question anyway. I was just interested in how big the herd was.
So day one, we started with 8 cows on day one. Day 2 was 12 cows, but it stayed at 12 cows for about 6 months. And then we're now milking 40 cows.
Great. Yeah. Okay, and how long has your farm been carbon negative?
So we've been carbon negative for 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is exactly. Well, it's tiny. It's actually so tiny. It's past zero. It's negative. It is fantastic. We only kind of found out we were carbon negative because I was interested in our soils.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out the organic matter within the soil.
Yeah.
And I was curious to see what our carbon output was. I wasn't trying to find out that we were carbon negative. I just wanted to see what we were, find a sort of a benchmark so we could then look at how we reduce it.
Right.
And then the first time we did our analysis and our carbon accounting, we were carbon negative. And we've just done that again a few months ago, and we're actually more carbon negative. So in the past 3 years, we've removed a total of 670 tons of carbon from the atmosphere and stored that within our soils and our hedgerows within the farm.
That's awesome. So what I mean, I work with Arla Dairy quite a bit, and I know they've got assessors going out to all of their Arla farms, and assessing their carbon status, and it's a very complicated business, and I know how much they're struggling, to hit these kind of quotas, these really strict quotas that are being issued. Why are you so different? Is it the size of your herd? Is it the land that they're on? What makes it seemingly effortless for you to be carbon negative? It's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't effortless. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
All
You know,
right. So what was that? What was the journey?
so I mean, the main reason that we're able to be so environmentally focused is that we sell direct to our customer, and that's what they want. You know,
Mm,
50% of our customers will choose How Now Dairy because of our environmental ethos.
yeah.
You know, and that was a personal choice of mine to set it up, but we've been able to continue that and create, you know, become carbon negative, to become 100% compostable packaging. We've been able to do that with our customers because they're willing to support us in those endeavors. So that's probably the main reason. But because we can sell our milk at a premium, it allows us that flexibility within the business to focus on elements of the farm that we wouldn't have time to on every industry. We're
Mm,
organic, so that helps massively with our carbon footprint
yeah.
because we're not using those artificial fertilizers. And really, I've just taken the very simple sort of mantra that if you look after the land will look after you. And we just started from that very simple principle, and we started the whole farm working towards that. So we don't have slurry. We don't produce any slurry because our
Right.
cows are housed on big, deep straw, golden, warm beds in the winter. So that's a lot of nitrous oxide that isn't released. There's a lot of
Yeah.
methane that isn't released. And then we feed within our lays, within our fields of grass, we grow a lot of herbal lays,
Hmm.
which are probably 30 or 40 different species and varieties of plants that are working together in a symbiotic relationship to essentially improve the soil as a diet for our cows. So our cows have a whole variety of things to eat, a balanced diet, but then also each plant has a role in maintaining the health of the soil. And that's how we become carbon negative, by increasing that organic matter that we went looking for. By increasing that organic matter, we've stored all that carbon, because organic matter really is a measure of life.
Yeah.
All life built around a carbon change. We are, the soil is, the cows are.
Hmm.
So we're looking after that microbiology, the bacteria and the fungi within the soil, and the way we farm. And the cows are a big part of that. The way that they graze the grass, and then you know, the reason they're so inefficient, and they, you know, pass half of that out the back end, and they you know, the cow pats across the field. You're creating this ecosystem that we just so happen to produce milk out of at the end.
Mm.
So that's really how we've done it, is really by focusing on our soil health. And we will suffer not being able to go onto the fields with the tractors and do work on the fields, so we don't damage the soil, we don't compact it,
Right.
which
Right.
keeps
Right.
oxygen in the soil, and then the life then growing. And we are now getting to the point, our last time we did our soil samples, we started looking at not just the surface of the soil, but we're now looking at half a meter down.
Wow.
And we can see that we're pushing that carbon, that organic matter, further down into the
Mm.
soil column. And when it's half a meter deep, you're going to really struggle to release that. That is as good as trapped, because we're not going to plow that deep. Not that we plow anyway, we've thrown that away. But
How do you control kind of weeds and thistles and things that cows can't eat or don't shouldn't eat?
well, the only plant I consider a weed is a thistle. Really, a
Yeah.
weed is just a plant in the wrong place. Therefore, a weed is an opinion. Um,
Too right.
so yeah, so I don't see some of the plants as weeds, and in fact, I plant a lot of weeds. Our chicories and plantains would be considered weeds in a monoculture, but we've moved away from that. So
Mm.
I love docks. Most dairy farmers think they're the enemy, but I think they're a fantastic plant because the cows will eat them if they have to.
Mm.
And the plant itself has this huge taproot, which is going down and breaking open the soil and sending that root, feet into the soil, which brings water and minerals up, which is really important in a drought. But also it's sending sugar down that far. So you're pushing life further down the soil.
That's dock leaves.
Yeah, so those dock leaves, that plant then has this huge root system.
And I thought
I'd prefer it if I had another plant, but
yeah, and I thought they were only good for nettle stings, but it sounds like they're a lot more useful than that. So do you restrict your cows' access so that they will eat everything? Because I know they can be a bit fussy, can't they? They just go after the lush grass, and then often they'll leave a lot of other foods groups that they should be eating. Do you restrict their access to certain areas?
Absolutely. It's a lot of tough love for our cows.
yeah. They got to eat everything, right?
They have to eat everything before they get their dessert, before they get their
Too right. So I mean, I think we've covered sort of why you made this change. You obviously have a lot of belief in what you're doing. But you touched upon earlier, you touched upon your packaging and how it was compostable. That must have been a very conscious decision that required a lot of research. How is it compostable? What is it? What's it made of? And does all your milk go out in this packaging?
Yeah, so everything that we sell off our farm is in 100% compostable packaging.
Wow.
So our cream is in compostable packaging, and so is our milk. So all of our milk. When I first started, so we'll go right the way back. We first started, we package our milk in pouches, not glass bottles, not plastic bottles, pouches, milk bags, similar to what you would see in Canada and America and Eastern Europe and parts of Asia. They just look like a big pillow,
or
a little pillow full of milk. So we started with that. We just make from normal plastic because that was a 70% reduction in plastic, and then we thought, that's still a waste. It's still a single-use plastic. Let's go one step further because there are compostable plastics out there. They must be able to hold liquids.
Yeah.
So I did my research. We almost got our fingers burnt, but we finally found a company that we work with that have made a bespoke blend of. It looks like a plastic. It's called PLA, polylactic acid, and the feedstock to that is cornstarch. So maize, sweet corn.
Right.
So from that, they've made this PLA, which is similar to the bags that you get in supermarkets, those green compostable bags. So we've selected that. It works on our machine and it holds the milk, which is fantastic. And then we collect the empties back from our customers because we have a milk round. So we sell all of our milk to doorsteps and we have a really good relationship with our customers. And like the old-fashioned milk rounds with the milk bottles, we swap over the empties. We do the same with our packaging. We collect all that waste packaging. We mix that with our cow dung, some green waste and some waste grasses, and we make a compost from it. And we turn it weekly for about 13 weeks. And after the 13-week process, everything, including our packaging, is broken down into a compost, which we can spread on the fields as a fertilizer, grow the grass. So we turn our packaging into milk.
Who needs slurry? Brilliant. Oh, that's awesome. So why did you, I'm assuming you ruled out glass bottles it must require a lot of equipment to clean and why did you rule out glass bottles?
So equipment to clean, you also need a huge amount of energy to clean glass bottles, to heat the water, and the chemicals used to require glass bottles would almost negate our carbon negative, all the extra energy we would need almost make us, carbon neutral. It's also a glass bottle to hold a litre of milk weighs 300 grams. Our packaging currently wouldn't weigh 30 grams.
Oh, that's a lot of benefits then.
Huge amounts of benefits. And glass isn't infinite. You only get on average somewhere between 15 to 25 uses out of a glass bottle.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, it's the old, I always say like, when we used to get milkmen, in battery-powered milk floats, like driving around dropping off milk in glass reusable bottles, and how we got from that to putting milk in plastic bottles on supermarket shelves, with everyone individually driving their petrol cars to go and collect the milk. It's just like, that's a massive step backwards, and how we allowed that to happen, I find staggering. Like we were so progressive. Like when we had milk floats, it's like, wow, yeah, that's brilliant, right? You've got electric vehicles dropping off milk, and it's such a shame we moved away from that. But it sounds like you don't have electric milk floats, right? Because you're driving a little bit further afield than that.
No, so we have all electric vans. We have a fleet of electric vans. We have 3 electric vehicles. So we're all electric milk delivery. And we are hyper local. We only deliver within a 10-mile radius. So our delivery vehicles are only doing sort of 60 to 70 miles a delivery. So the electric vans are perfect for us. So we have a full electric fleet, compostable packaging, direct to customers' doors, all local, all organic. It's a great system. And what we've managed to do is that 670 tons of carbon offsets 3 million miles of driving.
Wow.
So we offset, so that's 1 million miles a year, because that was over a 3-year period. Mm-hmm. So we've offset a third of all of our customers' miles that they drive just by them buying our milk.
That's phenomenal. I love your dairy. It's amazing.
It is great, yeah.
All right. So it sounds like you've got a local reach, and that's one of your strengths. But the way I end all of my interviews is, because it's about the end of our time now, is asking the question, what would you like our viewers to do to sort of help you on your mission? So what is that? I mean, think about like a national or even international audience, and also a local audience that might be listening.
So our aim is to grow the business, and we're looking to basically replicate the model that we've built here on multiple sites across the UK, maybe even, if I'm really excited about it, Northern Europe, Northern America.
Wow.
So we're looking to potentially franchise the idea, but we're certainly going to replicate it. We're developing a new bit of technology that will automate the entire process. So it'll make it super easy as like a plug-in and play system that we can put on other farms. So other farmers that might be interested in doing a similar model and working with us, that would be great to hear from them. Also, if any politicians are listening, it's really difficult in agriculture, certainly UK agriculture, to get that mezzanine funding, that investment, because it's always blocked by the fact that we are in agriculture and we're not supported by the British Business Bank. It's really difficult. So to be able to grow a new business, an entrepreneurial business or within agriculture, is quite difficult. So that help would be there, and being able to get more tenant farms so that you can get a new influx of individuals and young people and new entrants into agricultural help, because that'll help stimulate this new growth, and hopefully people that will share our values and want to work with us to grow the business. But then also, we're always looking for more customers, and we're looking to grow the business. So we'd love to hear from them and where we can grow to in the future, because that would be our 5-year plan. Is, we're going to build more of these How Now dairy units, and we need our customer support.
Sure. So just remind us again, which areas do you deliver to?
So at the moment, we're just based in South Devon. We just deliver within the South Hams. We deliver from Plympton to Ashburton to Kingsbridge, and everything within our local sort of 10-mile radius within South Devon.
All right. Anyone who lives in South Devon, give Oli a ring. It seems like a no-brainer to me. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Nigel. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So subscribe now and click the bell so you're notified when we speak to more pioneers of the agri-food industry that are leading the way to a sustainable, low-carbon and regenerative future. Thanks for watching. Are you an agri-food pioneer? Get in touch now to arrange your interview.